that we all start thinking about resolutions. And in the immortal words of Steve Carell, as in The Office, when he declares bankruptcy, that's one of my favorite things when he comes out and he says, "I declare bankruptcy." It's so funny because if you look up resolution, if you want to try to understand what that means, it actually means it's just a firm decision. So every New Year's, we come in here and we set firm decisions to do something better, right? Is it? Yeah, just click on that first one and then click down here at the bottom, the little thing. This one right there. Okay. So, but what you got to understand is I am such a huge goal setter. I love setting goals. And we do it wrong. Because we come in here and we say, I'm going to do this for New Year's. I'm going to eat less sugar. I'm going to eat healthier. I'm going to run a mile. I'm going to do this and that. And we make these firm decisions, but you got to understand that goals were originally intended to be a destination, and you have to create a roadmap to get there. So I threw this up there because it's been this long tradition of how we view maps and how we find places. So if you actually look, this is the original setup. So then we went on to MapQuest. How many of you guys remember MapQuest? You'd print it out and you'd actually drive and you'd be looking for the little signs that are on the corner there. We've evolved. I think that I feel bad for my kids because if you look at my kids, they're going to have no idea how to get anywhere if Apple Maps doesn't work. Right? But what's happened is we've done the same de-evolution in our goal setting. Where goal setting used to be this long thing, and now it's just a list of what we're declaring we're going to do in the new year. And we're not setting any type of strategy. And so a long time ago in my former life, perfect, just right there, I was obsessed with goal setting. And so I kind of went through a process of trying to figure out what's the best way to achieve a goal. And I found something called that I kind of developed it. I called it the circles of power. And basically what it is every day I would write 4 circles on a piece of paper. And my bottom right was my goal. And it's usually about a year long. And I would write that goal. And if that goal, for instance, was to hit a certain pay increase, if that goal was to run a marathon, whatever it was that goal was, I would then determine what I had to do each month, compounded to make it to that goal. And so the next circle over was my month. And then I'd have to determine how was I going to get that month goal? Well, the circle up here in the upper right-hand corner, that is your week. And how am I going to get to my week is my first circle that is there, that is my day. So if I take my day and I compound it weekly, it's going to get me to my monthly, that's going to get me to my annual. And the key to this, what you do, is you don't just do this once, you do this every single day. And the reason why you do this every single day is it cements in your head that annual goal and how you're going to get to it. It writes the map, how to get there. And every day you're revisiting that map. And what happens is if one day you don't quite hit that goal, and you're not going to hit that weekly goal, you do a little bit extra that day. So if yesterday I was supposed to do, and at the time that I was doing this, it was all about outbound calls. So if I was supposed to hit 100 outbound calls a day and I only hit 90 the day before, that means I have to hit 110 today if I'm going to hit my 500 for the week. So every day I could reset and readjust so that my annual goal was still in sight. And I still was creating a daily roadmap to get there. And I became this king of hitting my goals. Like whatever I wanted in life, I figured out I could obtain if I did this because these goals, these dreams, these visions, they're sometimes so big we can't think, how are we going to get there? And this breaks it down to the small things. Now, some of you guys have heard, and I've alluded to it, I'm going to share with you just briefly a little bit about my experience in the hospital. Now, some of you have heard about my home invasion. Someday I'm going to go into detail and I'll share you a little bit more about the home invasion. But in brief, 1 year and 1 month into my marriage, a man broke into my house, and when he didn't find the money he wanted, he went into the kitchen where he grabbed an 8-inch chef's knife, took off his shoes because he was so angry, and came in and crept into the master bedroom, where while I was still asleep, he stabbed me in the chest. With such fierce anger that he broke 2 ribs with the handle of the knife. And it went through lung, diaphragm, and liver. And for 3 minutes, I fought for my life and my wife's life as she was able to escape and call 911. Ambulance arrived within 3 minutes. They got me to the hospital within a matter of about 20 minutes by life flight. And in that process, I flatlined twice. As they got me to the hospital, they put me in surgery, and they removed 1/3 of my right lung. They repaired my diaphragm, but my liver was at about 15% functionality. They put 33 units of blood into my body. My body only holds 9, so I bled out 3 times. And then they put me in an induced coma. And in that induced coma, the machine was breathing for me 75% of the time. So for every 3 breaths the machine would make, I would finally have enough strength to make 1 breath on my own. And they left me there, and for 3 days I was in that induced coma. It was less than a 10% chance to live. On day 3, they brought me out of the induced coma, and they said, you've upgraded. Now you're at about 50% chance to live. You're going to be here for about 6 months, and it's going to be a long rehabilitation process. And what you need to do is once every 12 hours, you need to sit up in your chair. You need to sit up in your bed, get out of your bed, move around, and you have to do, and the other 6 hours, so on a 6-hour split. So every 12 hours I had to get up and move, and every other 12 hours I had to breathe into a machine to clear out my lungs of any fluid, which both of them were excruciating. And the doctor said if I could do this daily, that I would be there for 6 months, and he left. And the nurse came in, and I said, no, this isn't me. I'm the ultimate goal setter. I'm the ultimate goal getter. So what do I need to do to speed that process up? So I decided that instead of doing something every 6 hours, I'm going to do something every 3 hours. And it became an obsession with me to hit my daily goal and to set new goals each day. And my first goal was to get out of bed. And so I got out of bed and I sat in a chair for about 30 seconds. I said, this is too much. Put me back in bed. And they put me back in bed. I did that 2 or 3 times. I said, now I just got to make it to the door. So I made it to the door of my room. Did that 2 or 3 times. I said, okay, now I got to get into the hall, because the goal was I had to get up and walk the entire perimeter, the outlying hallway of this floor in the hospital. That's when I could go home. And what I found out is every door for every room was about 10 feet apart. And so I would start setting my goal of how many doors I wanted to walk each day. And it wasn't walk and return. It was just how far I wanted to go, which forced me to return and go that extra bit. The thing with goal setting is only as powerful as we determine what we can accomplish. That doctor said I was going to be there for 6 months, and I was going to have to be under excruciating rehabilitation. I took that excruciating rehabilitation, I compounded down on it, and I walked out in 9 days. Because what people see as impossible is possible when we break it down into something that's manageable and we go that extra step. Every time I hit my goal, I would sit there and pause, take a deep breath, and I think, I've got 1 more door in me. I'm not just going to hit my goal today, I'm going to surpass it every single time. So if you want to make 2025 the best year you've ever had, put into practice the circles of power. Every day, analyze what you need to do that day to hit your weekly goal. And every week you reset and analyze what you need to do that week to hit your monthly goal. And every month, the first of every month, you reset, and what do you got to do to hit your annual goal? And guess what? You may not hit your annual goal. When I left the hospital, they said I'd never run a marathon. And I laughed and said, yeah, watch me. And it took me 18 years to run the marathon. I had to reset every year because I just couldn't quite do it. And I finally did it after 18 years. So whether you hit your goal or not, it still expands you and makes you the most powerful version of yourself when you push yourself beyond the monotony. And instead of declaring I resolute to not do this or to do this, make a roadmap to find that destination, because the destination is the goal. But that journey there is what changes you and makes you incredible. Now, before I turn the time back over to Dave, I have learned through years of experience that as humans, we like mystery, we like true crime, we like all that. I'm willing to put up here a couple of shots of scars if you guys want to see them. If you guys are like, no, don't, you can close your eyes, turn away or whatever, but I'll be pretty quick because I'm not taking my shirt off. I've got dad bod like no other. And Dave would probably frown on that because it's not very professional and I have to talk to HR. So, Todd and Laura would be knocking on my office door. So if you guys are okay with it, I'm going to put them up here. I don't show any blood. It's all closed scars, or it's me in the hospital where you can't see anything. But it's just so you guys can see kind of the magnitude of where I was at. So if you don't want to, just close your eyes.